Elvis Presley and his vehicles. Part 10. The Purple Cadillac. By the summer of 1956, Elvis and his parents had settled in their new home at 1034 Audubon Drive in Memphis. These pictures, which are from that summer, show Elvis' collection of vehicles at the time. He owned a 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood 60 Special, a 1954 Cadillac Convertible, a 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood Limousine, a 1956 Harley-Davidson and a 1956 Messerschmitt. Apparently he didn't think this was enough, so he went shopping for another car. Elvis loved his 1954 Cadillac Convertible, which he bought used in September 1955. On April 15, 1956 though, he decided he wanted another convertible. He was in San Antonio, Texas, where he had 2 gigs at the Municipal Auditorium. Between the shows most likely, he visited the Cadillac dealership, Goat Motor Company in town, and saw a 1956 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz in the display. He fell in love with it on the spot, and decided to buy one. When Elvis had bought cars in the past, he often had them sent for repaint and minor customization right after picking them up. This time however, he special ordered the car the way he wanted it from the factory, which meant he had to wait for delivery. The Eldorado was Cadillac's top-of-the-line model. It was an exclusive model offered in limited numbers for a price about 50% higher than the standard Cadillac. In 1953 to 1955, Eldorado was only offered as a convertible. For the 1956 model year, a hardtop version was added to the lineup. To distinguish them, the convertible was named Biarritz while the hardtop model got the name Seville. The visual changes to the 1956 Eldorado were basically brand new tail styling with large fins and additional chrome trim on the doors. Eldorados were extremely well equipped. Standard equipment included the 365 cubic inch dual-quad V8 engine with 305 horsepower. All other Cadillacs had 285 horsepower, high-dramatic transmission, power steering, power windows, power brakes, signal-seeking AM radio, remote side mirror and saber wheels. 2,150 Biarritz convertibles were produced in 1956, and the MSRP was $6,501. On June 11, Elvis flew home from Tucson, where he had performed at the rodeo grounds the day before. Outside his house in Memphis, he saw June Juanico, who he met in the summer of 1955, and invited her in. Later that day, Vernon got a call from Goat Motor Company in San Antonio, saying that the Eldorado Biarritz was ready for pickup. Elvis and June flew to Houston the morning after and drove the remaining 200 miles to San Antonio. They picked up the special-ordered Cadillac Eldorado at the dealer and drove it all the way back to Memphis. Elvis' 1956 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz was painted alpine white with a ivory white convertible top. The interior was special-ordered in full white leather. Elvis had a Continental kit on his 1954 Cadillac Convertible, and liked it so much that he ordered it as a dealer option on the 1956 Eldorado as well. Other options Elvis chose were air conditioning and Autronic Eye, which automatically dims high beams when cars approach. The total price for his Cadillac came to $7,500. In early 1956, RCA Victor asked photographer Alfred Wertheimer to take photos of an upcoming singer named Elvis. Trailing Presley like a shadow, Wertheimer took nearly 3,000 photographs of Presley that year. These photos of Elvis and his parents, Vernon and Gladys, at their home on 1034 Audubon Drive in Memphis, are from 4th of July 1956. Here are some more photos from that day. On the photo to the right, the Continental kit is clearly visible. It consisted of an expanded bumper, so the spare tire with its cover would fit. In early July 1956, Elvis and a few of his friends went to Biloxi, Mississippi for a couple of weeks of relaxation. They brought both the 1954 Cadillac Convertible and the new 1956 Eldorado Convertible. After a few days, Elvis' parents, Vernon and Gladys, arrived to Biloxi in a pink 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood. When Elvis went to Biloxi, his plan was to show up unexpectedly at his girlfriend June Juanico's house in town. In late July 1956, Elvis was at Jim's barber shop on South Main Street in Memphis getting a haircut. When he was done and got out, a police officer was there giving him a fine for parking his 1956 Eldorado incorrectly. September 28, 1956, Elvis and his Hollywood friend Nick Adams, in the background, are photographed outside Elvis' home at 1034 Audubon Drive. The Eldorado Biarritz is visible behind Elvis. Elvis and his girlfriend, Barbara Hearn, went to the movies to see Walk the Proud Line on October 21, 1956. While they were there, 300 to 400 crazy female fans mobbed Elvis and tore up his 1956 Cadillac Eldorado. They opened the doors and ripped the upholstery and jumped up and down on the hood of his car. It wasn't easy being Elvis. In March of 1957, Elvis bought Graceland for him and his parents. In these pictures we can see the Cadillac Eldorado parked up front of the mansion. One day, Elvis and his friend George Klein were at the Mid-South Fairgrounds having fun. Elvis had left the top down on the 1956 Eldorado, and it started raining. They had so much fun, and Elvis didn't want to leave. They eventually drove home in the pouring rain, still with the top down, and when they got home and opened the doors, water poured out. Vernon went mad at Elvis for not taking care of the Cadillac. Elvis smiling for a few fans behind his 1956 Eldorado. The photo was shot at the front gates of Graceland in March of 1957. Yvonne Lime and Elvis dated while they were filming Loving You in early 1957. On Easter weekend she visited Elvis in Memphis. This photo of Yvonne in the Biarritz is from April 20, 1957. On July 27, 1957, Elvis had the Cadillac repainted. He saw a purple car on the streets of Memphis and decided he wanted to repaint the Eldorado. He went down to his friend, Jimmy Sanders, who ran a custom auto shop in Memphis, and crushed a handful of blue grapes on the hood, to specify the exact color he wanted. Sanders did some customization to the interior as well. The floors were covered with moot and fur dyed purple, and the floor mats were engraved with EP and a guitar in leather. Elvis and some female fans at the entrance to Graceland during the fall of 1957. Elvis didn't keep the car very long after that. In the middle of December 1957, he traded the 1956 Eldorado at Southern Motors for a 1958 Cadillac Fleetwood 60 Special. On December 23, 1957, the purple 1956 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz was sold to Lena Moskowitz, who was a friend of Elvis' mother Gladys and a big Elvis fan. She got information in advance that Elvis was going to trade the car in, so when he did, she rushed down to Southern Motors and bought the Caddy for $4,893. In 1960 she married Herbert Digger Odell Smith and moved with him to Phoenix City, Alabama. She ended up driving the car until 1964, when it got parked under a carport outside a food store she had in town. When Lena died in 1974, the Cadillac was parked outside in an empty field, left to rot, exposed to the elements and vandalism. After Lena Moskowitz's death, her husband Digger Odell Smith moved to College Park, Georgia, and therefore sold the estate in Phoenix City. The 1956 Cadillac Eldorado was put up on estate auction in Thorsby, Alabama on July 31, 1976. There it was sold for $975 to car dealer James Cantrell of Columbus, Georgia. Mr. Cantrell spent close to $28,000 restoring the Cadillac. He did a very nice job with the restoration and also chose to do some personal customization. He added a dual side pipe exhaust system. His goal, once restored, was to show it to Elvis as a surprise. Unfortunately, Elvis died before this happened. These photos are from the summer of 1978. James Cantrell took the Cadillac on tours and exhibits during the late 1970s and 1980s. The car's first showing was in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis' birthplace. It then went on tour with World of Wheels Car Show for a couple of years. After that tour, Guinness World of Records Museum in Niagara Falls leased Elvis' old Cadillac for most of the 1980s. In 1989, the Elvis Presley Automobile Museum opened at Graceland. It featured over 20 vehicles once owned by the king of rock and roll. One of the vehicles shown in the museum was the purple 1956 Cadillac Convertible. It was on loan from James Cantrell. In 2017, the museum was totally overhauled and renamed Presley Motors Automobile Museum. The 1956 Eldorado Biarritz was put a bit elevated, in a more central spot in the updated museum. The car really looks fantastic, however I wish they would remove the side pipes to make it look like when Elvis owned it. If you want to see Elvis' purple 1956 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz convertible, go visit Presley Motors at Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. It's been there since 1989 on permanent loan from the Cantrell family.
And that is it on this subject. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe for more episodes about Elvis Cars.